Hello everyone. So the reports just came in of about last year to do with Cavan, how many crimes happened that were reported now. And we'll talk about all this now in a second because there's a good bit to talk about. So straight away, Cavan isn't that big of a county. It might look big in the map, but it isn't that big in terms of population. We used to have 300,000 people living in Cavan before the famine. And then of course the famine happened. Cavan was very badly affected by the famine. A huge amount of people emigrated, a huge amount of people died in Cavan, more than nearly than in other parts of the country. People in Cavan suffered terribly during the famine. So basically, the population has never really recovered to that. So about, give or take, 94k or so, 95k, nearly 100,000 people live in Cavan. And for 3,200 and something crimes, 3,250 something crimes to happen in 1 year, this is now what's reported. Because there's a consensus here. Because there's crimes that happened, minor crimes, for example, wallet thefts, minor thefts, say, of mobile phones, etc. A lot of people couldn't be bothered to go into report at the Gardaí in Cavan because a lot of them wouldn't be. First of all, if they did report at the Gardaí, sometimes they would take the report and sometimes they would just pretend to take it. And then other times, when they did catch the person, if they did, because again, it's a very small chance that the Gardaí would get the person that did the crime. And then, of course, as they go to court, etc., then they probably would get off with it straight away. And then 5 minutes later, they'd be out on the street doing the same thing again. So what I'm trying to say is a lot of people in Cavan, and a lot of people say this. I told you the story before of a man that was stolen out of a graveyard, his mother's grave. He was doing up his mother's grave, a tool in his fan. He didn't have his fan locked and was only about 5 feet away from him. Somebody stole a tool worth over €1,000. And he went and he rang the Gardaí. The Gardaí came out. It took them an hour or two to get out to him, first of all, to take the complaint. And he hasn't heard from the Gardaí since, and that's 3 years ago. And the Gardaí said, oh yeah, we'll ring you at some stage and we'll inform you how much about it to see that we get the person. So basically he hasn't heard from the Gardaí, and fuck all it's been done about it basically. Because what I'm trying to say is probably they didn't even bother to take the complaint. They just kind of went out to show their face, and they probably didn't even bother to write it down. Because as he said, the Gardaí just wouldn't bother to deal with it. They didn't care to deal with it basically, and basically that's €1,000 out of that man's pocket to buy it himself. And the Gardaí just didn't care, and that's a minor thing. But €1,000, for a lot of people, €1,000 is not something that can magically appear in front of you. But what I'm saying is, this is only the crimes that were reported. Because again, who knows if that's even reported? You probably go into the Garda station now, and they will say we have no record of it because the Gardaí didn't bother to take it down. And there's been many occasions of this happening in Cavan. I spoke about it in the video on my other channel, that there was a wallet taken with €50 in it in one of the pubs in Cavan. This is only a few months ago. And it was only €50 in a wallet. But at the end of the day, it's the principle. The man went to the toilet. And he was an elderly enough man. He was in his 60s. At the end of the day, he had every entitlement to leave his wallet on the table and to come back with it there, basically. No scumbag should come along and swipe a wallet of anybody on the table. Years ago, you could fucking leave the whole doors open in your house and go away for 6 or 7 years, and you would come back 6 or 7 years later, and your house might be cold, but there wouldn't be anything taken. Everything would be where you left it. Nowadays, if you left your house, the whole house could be gone, basically. So take for example in Cavan alone, Cavan town, which is about a population of 12,000, so basically a lot of people too. But 1,500 cases were reported to the Gardaí in Cavan, and as you know, there's only 60 something Gardaí in Cavan town Garda station. And as you know, half of the Garda stations in Cavan are closed or not open half of the time. Like Killashandra, there's no Garda station based in Killashandra now because the Garda that was there retired, and there's nobody to replace them, and that was a year ago now. So there's basically no crime reported there because there's no Garda to take it. It's the same in Black Lion. There used to be a Garda station open full time in Black Lion, and there's no Gardaí there now basically at all. It's the same about Trouble. There's only 2 Gardaí. So basically, what I'm trying to say, these crimes that they're talking about outside Cavan town, a lot of these Garda stations don't have anybody there. Like take for example Kinnaneck, only for people kicked up holy hell about it. It would have been closed down, would have been shut down. It's open partially. It's open partially a few days a week for signing things, etc. But what I'm trying to say, these Garda stations years ago used to be open all the time, round the clock, 24/7. Used to be Garda there all the time. But nowadays it's only Cavan Town, Baileybo and Belturbid maybe that could be open, and Ballyconnor here and there. But you get what I'm saying. So it's a huge concern in Cavan. And especially because these 3,200 crimes, we don't know how many was convicted, say for example, of these crimes, of the minor thefts. So say for example, was there 1,000 people got for these 3,000 crimes? Or was it, who, you get what I'm saying, who went to prison? Did many people go to prison? Were many people let off? Did they ever catch these people? We don't know that, I suppose, because most likely a lot of them were let off. The judge, they went up to the judge and the judge let them off with it. But Yeah, it is really concerning because, it is only a small county. This isn't a big county. And we've seen in 2024 that Cavan was next to Dublin, second next to Dublin on the amount of crimes, etc. People convicted of crimes and crimes happening. Um, then Cork and Galway, big old cities, big counties. Cavan had more crimes than them in 2024, which was terrible luck in Cavan. That it was that bad. Like, it was that bad that we were worse nearly than Cork, a city, and Galway, a city too. And other counties with loads more people than Cavan. It didn't make any sense, but so. I think a lot of these judges in this county are just useless and couldn't be asked to do anything either. Um, but I think there's a society in Cavan now. What I'm trying to say is that a lot of people that do these crimes are basically regular offenders. What I mean by that, every day of the week they're causing trouble somehow. And some of them are Irish, some of them are not Irish. But what I'm trying to say is, for people that are not Irish should be deported, first of all. They should be sent home, and that'll deal with the crime spree they're on. But for the people who are Irish, they should be made do a bit of work, because in a lot of cases these people are on social welfare and have nothing better to do. If they go out and do a day's work, say for example, a few hours, an 8 hour shift, they won't have the energy to cause any trouble, basically. Um, but I think it's too a lot of cases that we're too soft on these people. We're far too soft on these people, especially when they have multiple offences. There's cases probably here. I can think of 2 or 3 people at the top of my head that have over 50 convictions, that every 5 minutes they get out of prison, they're back in it in the next week. And these people shouldn't be probably in society, because they're just every week, every day of the week. I literally mean every day of the week. They're either going in a prison, they're coming out of prison, going into prison, going out of prison. And it's just a revolving door, basically. And it's free legal aid, the whole shebang. And it's costing the state a fortune, and it's costing the taxpayer annoyance, because these people are going out and causing trouble in people's shops that have businesses, people walking in the shops threatening them, causing harms on the street. This isn't acceptable. But do let me know what you think. But we do need a bigger talk in society how to deal with these people, particularly when they have long convictions. But I will say that we have to be more serious about crime in this county. And we need to make Cavan safe again. And how we do that is just being very strict. Because unfortunately, being nice, we can be nice to some people if we think they might learn their lesson, etc. But giving them the niceness 25 times in a row is not helping anybody. And I don't think it's fair on people like me. I never broke the law. I'm 23 years alive. Never broke the law. Always uphold the law. That's what a Catholic does. That's what a Christian Irish person does. Uphold the law. And you get very little thanks for doing it in the modern Ireland, unfortunately. Like, the people who uphold the law should be looked after. What I'm trying to say is, the criminals that get looked after the most by the Irish Safe and Free social welfare, the whole lot. And it's not fair. It isn't fair. And I'm not saying that to just behalf of me. I see people who walk their balls off and the state fucks them over in every conceivable way. But somebody who causes trouble, they get off with everything, and the state gives them free legal aid and the whole shebang. And they're protected. They're protected in every possible way. But anyway, let me know what you think. Subscribe for more, and bye.